When another student dies or faces a violent attack, how do other students cope? How does the Ministry of Education support those affected? Here to answer those questions and more is Kenneth Davidson, Assistant Chief Education Officer of the Guidance and Counseling Unit at the Ministry of Education and Youth. Good morning, Mrs.
Morning.
Davidson. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. I'm fine. And good morning, Jamaica.
All right. We were talking just before we started, but let's get right to where the introduction, because we realize quite often, these days especially, students are injured or, worse, fatally injured as a result of crashes, violence, etc. How does the ministry respond to help schools and help those affected, their classmates, etc., to manage the trauma of the loss or the injury to the child, their colleague?
Well, the Ministry of Education and Youth is always putting in place programs, activities to support all of this. Currently, what we have in place is a trauma response protocol. This is led by our Guidance and Counseling Unit in the regions, headed by the Senior Education Officer. And so in each region, there are quality education circles where schools are placed. Depending on your geographical location, you're in a quality education circle, and in each quality education circle is a group of guidance counselors who have been trained to respond to incidents and events like we have been seeing in recent time. Right. So, for an example, there is a traumatic event, the team is activated. And so the counselor, if it's a school that has a guidance counselor, the counselor will say, Miss, or whoever the team leader is, this event has occurred, this is what we need at our school. So today, I have assessed what is happening on the ground, and I need 10 more persons because we would want to do this number of counseling sessions, etc. And that's an immediate response, because you want people to recognize that counseling is a process. It's not a one-off activity, right. But you want somebody right there and then to say to those around that we care, we really want to be here for you. Many people at the onset, they have not yet accepted that this has happened. And so they're not ready for counseling. But they want to look around and they want to see you to know that if I feel this way, I have someone that I can express to, or the expressions are controlled. Because if you just leave persons to just express without some level of support, then they may themselves become in danger.
Right. It's interesting. I think you said earlier, and you would correct me if I'm wrong, that the school would kind of tell you what they need. It's not something I want to remember, but we lost a young man back in 2016, and I was incredibly impressed with the ministry, because the next day they were there at school and they were there all day with us, and they were, they helped us through a lot, and I was very impressed. We were talking before, as God said, and it seems like things are happening too often now. Well, not seems, things are happening too often, but how many people do you have? Because there's one in Montego Bay, there's one in Ocho, there's one in Kingston, there's one, how many people do you have to really make a difference?
Currently, we have 7 educational regions. And in each region, there's a unit that is manned by at least 5 persons. We have a senior education officer, an education officer, an educational social worker. We have our HFLE officer as well. We have our community relations education officer. We have our special needs person. So there's a team in the regions. However, on the ground, there are guidance counselors. So for example, let's take Region 4, because in recent times, Region 4 is the schools that are in the parishes of St. James, Westmoreland, and Hanover. Mm-hmm. And if you're following the media, mm-hmm. you'd realize in recent times they have had it a little harder than others. Mm-hmm. But in each QEC, there are at least 10 guidance counselors who are trained and ready to go. But what the Ministry of Education and Youth has done in recent time is to have partnered with UNICEF to do what we call a community of care. So we just concluded training of 40 persons who are master trainers. Come January, we are training at least 50 persons in each region to offer this kind of support. Because trauma is not just caused through violence. there are the accidents and other injuries, and we need this level of support. And if we keep using our guidance counselors, who themselves are so overwhelmed in schools, then we might find a situation where we're kind of defeating our own purpose. And so we're moving towards the additional 220 plus persons for this support.
You mentioned the phrase QEC a while ago. What does that mean?
The quality education circles.
Okay.
Right.
We have to go, but final question from me. Do you deal with the families personally, or do you just go to the school and deal with the students and stuff?
The Ministry of Education and Youth, again, we deal with families, we deal with schools, we deal with communities. And it's not just if a student is hurt. If the school loses a teacher, the ministry is there. And when we talk about the Ministry of Education and Youth being there, we're talking about from our minister right down to our employees in the regions.
We have to go. Great work. We need you. And thanks so much for coming.
Thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
That's the Assistant Chief Education Officer of the Guidance and Counseling Unit at the Ministry of Education and Youth, Kenneth Davidson.
Coming up, how a member of the disabled community danced his way to earning a degree. Stay with us, please. Soon come back.